got? Here we go.
One of the biggest joys of parenting is playing the games you grew up with and teaching them to your children.
Yeah.
Now, we're a sports family, and time together using the Nintendo Wii has created a fun weekend tradition. It's easy for us to bond over video games, enjoying the competition and teamwork. But this past spring, I started noticing a shift in my son's behavior. He'd become agitated quickly. Frustration would turn into aggression. This behavior would worsen whenever he played solo or with his friends. My son is a good kid who handles a lot well, but with video games and YouTube, these tantrums and zombie-like trances would turn into someone I didn't recognize. We've all been told screens and social media have side effects and might be addictive. But until I became a father, I didn't fully understand the scope. I couldn't believe that for the average Gen Z teen today, they're on screens between 5 and 7 hours per day. That means each week it's like sitting in front of a device the same amount you're at your full-time job. And the highest users are spending upwards of twice that, taking up almost every waking hour. Can it be a coincidence that over the last decade, as screens and social media have replaced hanging out and real-life connections, that anxiety, depression, and self-harm have skyrocketed? As a dad today, I think back to my own 80s and 90s upbringing, and my parents' concerns then were alcohol, smoking, and drugs. Government warnings were conspicuously placed on packaging. Ad campaigns aired on TV to cut down on substance abuse. The "this is your brain on drugs" frying pan commercial lives rent-free in my brain.
This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs.
Where's this generation's smartphone and a frying pan to scare the heck out of us?
Any questions?
It's insane that we might debilitate an entire generation by ignoring these systemic harms. What are we going to do about it? This is Grown Up Dad. To get started, I wanted to understand the problem. When I was my son's age, it was 1989. The height of technology included fax machines. Nintendo's black and white Game Boy released with only Tetris, and the first episode of The Simpsons aired on TV. Phones were still attached to walls with curly cords, and the cool tech were pagers on our hips. Technology is way more pervasive today. My son learned how to swipe a screen before he spoke full sentences. His school-issued laptop came home in kindergarten. He knows how to operate our smart TV better than we do. With such early and ongoing exposure, I wanted to look for a definitive source about these potential harms, and luckily, he's a dad with children the same age as mine. I started driving, and I headed to our nation's capital. Dr. Vivek Murthy is the United States Surgeon General, serving under Presidents Obama and Biden. While my kiddo isn't using his own social media, my experiences with him and video games has put me on high alert for what's to come. I was particularly interested in the Surgeon General's 2023 advisory about social media, including its recommendations. The week I met him, he made a major announcement.
A new warning about something else.
The Surgeon General is making a bold statement.
Warning from the Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy.
The Surgeon General thinks Congress can and should do more to regulate social media companies.
I'm grateful I didn't have social media growing up. Right?
Well, I am too, because I think it has fundamentally changed childhood for kids. 40% of kids 8 through 12 are actually on social media.
Wow.
Like, think about an 8-year-old, on social media. It doesn't make sense. What's worrisome to me as a dad and as a doctor is that they're facing double the risk of anxiety and depression symptoms. And the average amount of use per day among adolescents is actually 4.8 hours, nearly 5 hours.
Are you finding that social media feels addictive for adolescents and teens?
Routinely, when I travel the country and talk to them, they talk about how hard it is to actually limit your use. And I do worry that there's a lot of shame that young people and their parents are feeling around these troubles. Which I just need to have more willpower, or something must be wrong with me that I can't limit my use. But this difficulty that people are having, it's not a bug. The platforms are really designed to maximize how much time we spend on them.
Where are some of the solutions coming from that we really need to employ? And is this really is it on parents? Is it on laws or regulation? And is it on the companies too? Like, where do we try to get some of that time back and help our kids?
Well, unfortunately, the entire burden for managing this has been placed on the shoulders of parents and kids. And I think that's...
I feel that burden.
I feel that too. You know, it is really hard for parents right now. And we're finding, in fact, that technology and social media are the top two reasons why parents are saying they find parenting to be so much harder now than it was 20 years ago. We should be taking steps to make the platform safer, to ensure that, number one, young people aren't exposed to harmful features and tools that would seek to manipulate their brain and manipulate them into excessive use. It seems like a lot to ask for, but it's not. We've done this for other products in the past, and it was safety measures that we put in place around automobiles that got us seatbelts and airbags and crash testing, and that ultimately helped reduce the number of car accident-related deaths. So we know how to do this. We have to summon the will to actually do it.
This isn't the first time our leaders have warned about a youth health crisis. I thought about Nancy Reagan's ubiquitous line, just say no.
And when it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
It was black and white. Don't start, not even a little, but screens are not cut and dry. For most parents, screen use is a seesaw between unhealthy and necessary that we dance with daily. While unhealthy is clear, the necessary is tricky. Not all screen time is bad. When I was growing up, spotting the benefits of Sesame Street and Reading Rainbow were easy. Today, educational content is plentiful on TV and YouTube. Children go online and find their imaginations soar. But it's easy to slip from creative into harmful. One good YouTube video sometimes autoplays into a bad one with inappropriate language and adult content. It's impossible to monitor everything your child sees. Too often, moms bear this parental control burden, but increasingly, me and many dads are taking on this duty. Honestly, I don't want to learn Snapchat or TikTok, but by ignoring these apps, I can't navigate him through this complex world, understanding both the type and quantity of content he receives. I was curious, how do creators and influencers handle their own family's challenges when they rely on social media for their livelihood? Where better to find someone than in the media capital of the world? I need an 8-second montage because I'm going to Hollywood.
Thank you.
Now we're in LA.
Just make it seem like it's like a mile long.
This is Evan and Kevin, the sketch comedy duo, the Dumb Dads. These stay-at-home fathers have more than 1 million followers on TikTok and Instagram and are always writing to get a laugh.
None of us really know what we're doing. The joke we always make is like, if somebody had figured out parenting, they'd stop writing baby parenting books. But everybody's just kind of guessing.
Well, that's interesting. Do you think the bar was lower then, or in past generations?
For parents, is higher. The bar for fatherhood is like buried in the ground.
Actually, look at the ground, dig 6 feet, then
There's the bar,
then there's the bar
of fatherhood, which is wild. And we would make fun of the dad that was just been presented on television forever. Which is like, can't make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without setting the kitchen on fire. We thought, we could do better than that and try to be there for our kids. But we're gonna make a lot of mistakes along the way, so let's write jokes about that.
Yeah. Social media has obviously become such a huge part of both of your lives. All right. How is it used with your kids?
Neither of our children are familiar with it. They know that we make videos and content, and once in a while we'll show them.
They know what TikTok and Instagram is.
Yeah, they kind of know what they are.
But they don't go on those
Yeah,
apps.
they don't have access to them.
Really?
Anyway. Yeah.
What do you think that impact's going to be?
We don't know, and I think that's part of the reason we would like to stay away from it. In the internet, you have, you can be invisible, and you can say the cruel things. Like say you go to a video of ours that has 1 million views, right? You can look at the likes, comments, saves, and shares. If you look at a video of somebody with a child, also has 1 million views. The saves will be 5-6 times as many as ours.
Oh.
Go check it out.
I just made a face. That's creepy.
Those videos get saved more by predators and other people like that. And it's just like, our job as a parent is to protect your kids. So my wife and I are like, I don't think we're gonna let our kids on social media. And all we ever get is like reinforcements.
Yeah.
We never get steps back going, oh, maybe actually. We're always getting like reinforced of our opinion of like, maybe they shouldn't be on social media every time It is something that we're definitely working on. Phones at the dinner table.
What's a dinner table?
It's like it's where you put your mail and your jackets.
Yeah, backpack's usually there, and then there might be some ketchup there somewhere if it's dry.
Some kinetic sand on it.
Yeah.
I know the place you're talking about. Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you hope happens with legislation or rule changing for protections for kids in social media?
I think there is a long way to go with it. I think that the government is very slow on this, and they're being like a cliche. They're being like one of our sketches where they're just like, oh, I don't know any better. And you're just like, well, you got to know better. You got to figure it out because it is our kids. And like, we are already showing signs of like anxiety and depression. Like these things are happening.
Mental health is so important, and the more and more we learn that, the more and more it should also be extended down to children's mental health.
Yeah.
And that's, I hope there's leaps and bounds further than where we are now.
We dads can't shrug our shoulders at these challenges, nor punt to mom. We should want to get involved. 93% of all teens, regardless of income, are using some form of social media, with the top prize going to YouTube. A majority also use TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram, but Facebook has become uncool, with only about 1/3 of them using it. In the last decade, the percentage of teens acknowledging they are almost always online has doubled from 24 to 46%. Nearly half of teenagers say they must look at their phone every 15 minutes. And in a moment of self-awareness, 8 out of 10 teens say they feel they are addicted. Jonathan Haidt is a New York Times bestselling author of The Anxious Generation, and in it, he argues a significant correlation between higher use of social media and the rise in major depressive episodes among Gen Z and younger millennials. He says depression and self-harm increased after 2010 here at home and in Western nations like Canada and the UK. Other factors contribute to poor mental health, but no other theory explains why rates of anxiety and depression surged among adolescents at the same time and in the same way. While the scientific community is still confirming a direct link, early studies and observational data suggest a troubling connection. Statistics like this can put trends in perspective, but these numbers felt too abstract. I want to understand what was really happening to kids, especially my own son. I traveled to Aura's Digital Parenting Summit in New York City to meet a dad who studies content for a living. It's where I met Common Sense Media Vice President Merve Lapus. Like me, you may have interacted with Common Sense Media if you ever looked up ratings on movies, kid shows, or podcasts for your family. With Common Sense Media, tell me, what are some of those messages you're hearing from parents, particularly about navigating this type of media today?
Sure. I mean, I think the big questions are always going to be around, when's a good time to give my kid a phone?
Yeah.
How much time is too much screen time?
Right.
And that really then comes down to the biggest umbrellas, like well-being. Like, how are our kids doing? Right? And it's undeniable the effect that media and technology play a role in that.
How do we get our kids to thrive? Because when I think about the media I had growing up, and there were commercials, there were breaks, there was not media on demand. It wasn't in our hands all the time. And I can't believe I'm saying, I was like, let's maybe bring back commercials, because like there's something about that little pause,
But it's timeless when you see the face of your kid who are like, commercial. I'm like, yo, you have no idea.
You have no idea.
You know, there's a lot of value in just learning to wait. So press pause and help them kind of build some of that working through, like, whoa, here's what I think might happen next. Like, connect learning. Media doesn't just have to be consume. And as a parent, this is one of the things that I've been really focused on, is like, how do I turn media into really an ongoing learning conversation?
And so you have kind of a couple of preteens, right? What is it that you're really working on with them now?
Yeah, so we're at the point where relationships are a big part of their networking and developing.
Right.
And part of the relationship building that their friends are, they're on social media.
Yeah.
My kids aren't on social media.
Really?
So I think the biggest thing was just like really getting to the root, like, what do you think you're missing? I grew up at a time where if the lights weren't on yet, I could still be roaming around. I could be a mile away from home. My parents wouldn't care, they wouldn't be worried, right? And then as long as I'm back in that door before the lights turn on, I'm good. Our kids don't have that, and developmentally, that's where they're supposed to be. So where do they find those opportunities? They find spaces. These spaces happen to be online spaces.
And I don't want to be that helicopter parent, but I am worried. You know, it's like there's a lot of scary messages that are out there.
100%. I think a lot of parents are learning to navigate this alongside with their kids. And that's why these daily conversations, they should be daily conversations, not just when there's a problem or an issue. It's getting them to really think critically about people on the other end and not just get desensitized from being online and that disinhibition effect.
Do you think it's harder to be a parent today?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. I mean,
seriously.
I'm learning as I go, because reality is these things aren't going away.
Right.
So how do I empower them with the skills, again, the knowledge or the language, so when something does happen, they know either how to handle it themselves, or they know that I'm going to be a partner in this and not necessarily just be, Dad takes everything away, right? And sometimes that's what you need to do. Like, you got Dad, you gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta be a parent. Yeah, you've gotta be a parent. Merve reminded me to give myself some grace. We're the first generation to parent with these constantly changing technologies, and we're gonna make mistakes because we don't have parents or grandparents to model after. This tech is pretty new, and even the oldest, Facebook, was launched when I was a senior in college. And that got me thinking about those days and some of my old friends, Casey and Olip. They now have 2 kids, Dakin, their 14-year-old, and Ronan, who's 6. With how fast things are changing, I wondered if they saw differences in their kids' 8-year gap.
I feel really confident about like normal stuff, like how do you study for a test? How do you ask your first girl out? All those things that we've done.
Yeah.
We didn't navigate high school with social media.
No.
And so it feels like we're a little unscripted, and it feels like we can make mistakes a lot more easily. There's things like the group chat. Kids live and die by the group chat, right?
So this is like with Dakin, or you mean like a family group chat?
This is
Dakin and their high school
middle school
friends.
kids,
Yeah. Your science class might have a group chat. Your bros might have a group chat.
Okay, got it.
Everyone in band might have a group chat.
I hate group chat.
Oh, dude, when you read your first like 11 or 12-year-old boys co-ed group chat, you come call us again. There are little girls posting selfies. There are boys making fart jokes. Like it's just a wild west out there.
I mean, part of that feels sort of normal behavior, though, but it's just weirder that it's not together. It's all on in this permanent group chat, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right, forever.
So how did you explain forever to Dakin, then?
Over and over again, right? Like it feels like that's our constant, is like, I need you to remember that what you say and what you do online is forever.
Yeah, sometimes he'll Google our names.
Really?
See what comes up, and it'll be, you know, LinkedIn profile or whatever. Nothing crazy, but so we can use that and be like, hey, just think about what would come up if you did something. Just think about that.
Are you going to wait longer to get a watch or a phone for your youngest?
Oh, I think we're gonna give in more quickly.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're losing by saying that right now, that you've lost as a parent?
I feel like it's a losing battle. I feel like, 12 will become 10. That's what I really think will happen.
Yeah, I think, we won't be the ones in the forefront doing it. We'll kind of like watch what his friends are doing. We'll play the market.
You need a group of friends where you all agree together
to
what the rules are, and then you're the co-bad guys. So when are we giving our kids a phone?
Yeah.
That's helped a lot. You've got to get a coalition going.
All right, let's get plates. Boom. Oh, that looks so good. I'm trying to figure out, my son is 7. I'm trying to figure out when he's supposed to get a phone. When did you want a phone first?
I think I wanted a phone when all my friends started getting a phone and stuff, and wanted the apps they had and stuff like that. So maybe late 6th grade.
And when did you want to give him a phone, and when did you have to give him a phone?
I wanted to give him a phone in high school. Middle school broke me, I think, with all his friends having it.
You want a phone now?
Yep.
Okay, but you're not gonna get one, right?
Not now, but in a little bit.
A little bit? Mm-hmm. You're like a month?
Yeah, that's not a little bit.
Oh, okay, like tomorrow?
No. A little bit is like 10 years.
Oh, that is a great, we can make that happen. You know what, I will buy his first phone in 10 years, okay? All right, how much screen time do you get a day?
30 minutes.
That's not much. How much screen time do you get a day?
On average, I usually get 2.5.
2.5 hours?
Oh, no.
No, minutes.
So are you on social media?
No. if you count obviously messages and YouTube, I think are social media, but not the Instagrams or the Snapchats or TikTok. Have those.
Do you think you missed something by not being on it?
No. I think I don't want the apps because I see how addicted my friends can get, and I don't want that.
You have a very loving brother right now.
Yep. Well, can you sit, please?
Oh. I really enjoyed my time with them, witnessing their screen time approach. Maybe I should be taking lessons from this 14-year-old because I'm using my devices more than he is, and I need to be better. Especially when the person I'm influencing most is my son. If I had thought about this sooner, maybe I could have avoided the worst argument I ever had with Gabe. Me and my son had a devastating conversation this spring, and it frightened me. It scared me so much, I wanted to talk about it here. I did what I thought a good parent would do, and I felt like a failure. Back in DC, I told the Surgeon General about my son's response that left me speechless. There was a moment a few months ago that was really hard. I had to set some limits for him at a friend's house because he was kind of losing at the game and he wasn't taking it well. And I had to kind of get him to, all right, we're gonna come home, we're gonna talk about this. And then I got home and he was really agitated. And then about 45 minutes of no screen time, he was really, like, I thought we had a good place for him. And then he asked to play again and I said no. And he stomps off. And he goes upstairs, and for the first time ever, he said something that devastated me. He's like, I want to kill myself.
Oh my God.
The first time you hear that, as a parent, you're like...
Joe, that is so painful as a dad to hear.
He wants them to thrive, and he wants to protect them. Like, what am I doing if that happens? And I'm like, do I need to stop the games? Because he also has some fun, and it's really hard to find that line. But I'm not the only one. So I struggle with finding that right place to give him the support. And I know if I'm dealing with this, thousands of other parents are dealing with it too.
First of all, Joe, I'm so sorry you experienced that. I mean, what a devastating thing to hear as a parent. And especially, I mean, this is when you obviously love so deeply. And gosh, I feel the pain that you're experiencing. And I think you're right, you're not alone. And it's so hard, I think, as parents to not feel like maybe we messed up, maybe we did something
I know,
wrong.
right? We need to find a way to make it a little bit easier, a little bit more helpful for them and our kids.
And we've got to make it easier for kids and for parents, because you're right, it is overwhelming for parents all across the country. We also need to realize that this is not reflective of our failure as parents. It's the result of having technologies, like including social media, that have been unleashed on the population with very few safety guardrails, and we're all paying the price for that. And that's not fair, it's not right. It's why we need to put in place safety standards. Legislators need to step up and do this to make these platforms safer. But until that happens, what we can do as parents is to start talking more openly about this and supporting each other. It's when we're all trying to do this alone that it can feel overwhelming. But this is a place where there's strength in numbers. As parents, I think we can make a real difference and help our kids, help each other, if we come together, talk about this, and set some common guardrails that we're all going to use in our children's lives.
Thank you. I like that a lot. Appreciate it. My struggles aren't unique, nor a parenting fail. That night when Gabe and I fought, his words shocked me. I didn't scold, admonish, nor yell. I just walked to our stairs, opened my arms, and said nothing at all. He saw my gesture as an invitation, and he hugged me tight. Later, as I tucked him into bed, I told him that as he gets bigger, his emotions will grow too. Life will sometimes feel overwhelming, but it's important to remember a nugget of wisdom. This too shall pass. Recognizing these big emotions don't last forever. There's much to love in this world, and the next morning, he was fine. We can choose to be disconnected or choose to be proactive. Change starts small, and as a grown-up dad, I can decide to act. First, I want to be better to monitor his consumption. His mom and I started an 18-hour-a-week screen allowance. Still a lot, but it's a reduction in our home. And I'm choosing to require more non-screen activities like reading and creative play to ensure he prioritizes his imagination over screens. Next, I need to engage with what he's watching and not assume he is going to initiate the conversation. Is the content making him anxious or sad? Did he ever experience what he's seeing on YouTube? What questions did he have about the videos his friends share with him? And after the good advice from Casey and Olip, I spoke with the parents of Gabe's best friends about their household screen use and future device purchases. I asked for a warning before they buy so my family could discuss what we're ready for. This was maybe most helpful because parents have more power than we think, strength in numbers. This coalition of friends removed the pressure of me feeling like I would be the bad parent. This is hard, but just a few minutes of setting boundaries, enforcing them, and engaging with our kids' content can bring a balance into all of their lives. Let's all work together to help our kids thrive.
I just got absolutely smoked by my 9-year-old at Mario Kart for a 5th race in a row, and I just needed to turn it off before he saw me overreact.
And judge me all you want from your little booth over there, but you don't know if they haven't had screen time all day or not.
Have they had screen time all day?
You don't know.
Getting beat at a game that I've been playing since I was a little kid, by a little kid, it's a tough pill to swallow.